Welcome to the Making Rooms TTRPG podcast. I'm Eric, and these are my ruminations on designing, publishing, and finding community for the Explore Rooms TTRPG. If you want to support my journey, then watch this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and go check out my Kickstarter going live on February 1st. There's a link in the description below so you can be notified when it launches. In this episode, I'm talking about more ZineQuest projects that I'm excited to see fund. But before we get there, let's do our Explore Room. You're standing at the top of a tall pyramid. As you look down, you see that each side of the pyramid meets up against something different. On one side, you have a sparkling blue ocean. Waves lap up against the pyramid and a fishtail splashes out of the water. On another side, there are snowdrifts, and a pure white rabbit hops around creating tracks. On the third side, there's desert sand, and a small cactus seems to be rolling around looking for a friend. And the last side of the pyramid butts up against the edge of a grassy field full of flowers. Which side of the pyramid would you like to slide down into the next room? Now for the design tip of the episode. This tip comes from Ryan Lynch, who's the creator of Perils Princesses, and he posted this on TikTok as part of a few tips. But this one in particular, I wanted to share, and it went like this. This was something he learned from being in art school or taking undergraduate art classes, and the quote was, "Don't let Otto do your design, you do your design." What Ryan is talking about is that a lot of design programs and layout programs have some default settings, things that they come packed with, and you can use those to get started, but it's important as you learn and as you grow to make those decisions yourself instead of just setting the auto default of those and pushing send. And that can go for a lot of things. I'm certainly leaning on Otto a lot as I start up this project, and some of that is other people's advice on where to print or ship. The zine format as a whole is, a default. But as I learn and grow, I hope that I can make more of these decisions myself, explore new ideas that are right for the project, and do the design myself. Thank you for this tip, Ryan. I thank you for your guidance and thoughts and sharing them with other RPG designers. Now we're going to jump into more ZineQuest projects. What you'll note of the projects I'm reviewing is that A, they're first-time Kickstarter creators, and they're creating things that I think would be really cool for kids. The game that I'm creating and launching on February 1st is for kids, which means that it is trying to deal with kid-friendly themes and an appropriate level of interactions for really young kids. So some notable things you won't see in the projects I'm reviewing is, in particular, violence or PG-13 or higher rated things in the title or in the main front and center theme of the game. Combat and fighting is a part of the RPG tradition, but it's not my preference for it to be the first and foremost mechanic that we lean on for having fun. The first project I'm going to look at is called Good Spirit, Bad Spirit, a D&D 5e compendium. D&D 5e is the most commonly played version of D&D, and this is a supplement for that. So if you're playing that game, you can use this setting or these ideas in that game. And it says it's a 50-plus page TTRPG zine full of unique spirit monsters, magic items, backgrounds, brand new subclasses, and more. And this is created by Komiko, and this is their first project. So this is really cool. The main art of this is gorgeous. It's a kind of a little cityscape with trees or grass and bushes, and you've got this deity type figure in the middle, and then some followers or maybe lesser deities that work with them. And that's kind of the ethos of this particular zine, this compendium, is that it gives you some ideas and some formed lore and mythos for different deities, different ideas of spirituality in your game. So it quickly goes from this cool kind of Studio Ghibli cover into some really just other fun artwork. This looks very kid friendly. These are things that I think kids would find very interesting. There's different spirits, different paths, so the ability to interact with those deities or worship those deities, and then different player options for subclasses, backgrounds, magic items, etc. So it just seems like a really fun project where you get to imagine in a different way and bring ideas of spirituality or deities or pantheons into your work. I know that my oldest, loved like Greek mythology. And this sort of fits into that space of like, isn't it neat to think about these supernatural beings that interact with each other and have relationships? So check out Good Spirit, Bad Spirit. Click the button to be notified when it launches. And if you're playing 5e and looking for some seemingly kid-friendly content from the look of it, this could be the right fit for you. The next project I'm looking at is called Magic Tales, Victorian Fantasy Animal RPG. And this is a TTRPG about magical animals, cozy, intrepid adventures set in school years before becoming wizard familiars. So this is sort of like creating a little micro world. In a lot of games, you have a familiar, an animal companion that helps you on things. Then this is sort of the training school for familiars, which is pretty fun. This is by Jano Studio, and this is their first project. And they probably created Jano Studio's Kickstarter account, so it says 0 backed. Who knows if the creators of this they've probably backed other projects. And then we start getting this cover image is really cool. You've got this looks like a squirrel or a cat. It looks like a cat. You see a dog with kind of a backpack. There was a Kickstarter not too long ago. I remember being like you could play as dogs and cats in an adventure, and maybe this is kind of playing on that as well. And this is a setting. Magic Animals Familiars in 2 languages available. Looks like Italian and English. Launching February 1st. They have a cool little art, this gazette that has kind of brings you into the world a little Harry Potter-ish. This is 48-page full color PDF. What I'm not seeing here is if it is creating its own system or if it's being designed for another system. So that'd be something that'd be useful to clarify. But perhaps we'll find out more once the project launches. So if playing as animals in a Victorian magic school is appealing to you, you should consider this project. The next project I was excited to review is called Bonds Between. It says restore rundown domains in everyday places as neighboring dragons in this cozy card-altering duet RPG. And this is by Jonathan Boyle. This is their 4th project that they're working on, and they've backed 48 projects. So this Jonathan knows Kickstarter, has been a part of this. And what's cool about this, one of the more famous or popular phone apps games is like a restoring a garden kind of thing where you sweep up and you clear debris and uncover cool things or mysteries, etc. And so this kind of feeds into this idea of like, hey, there's places that are a little run down. These dragons move in and then they work together to kind of restore. They've got their own domains, but there's certain magic that requires 2 dragons together or 2 individuals to work together to create. And so there's a bit of, I feel like there's a message here about restoration. I think there's a message here about benevolence and caretaking. And it seems like, this artwork This cover art shows like a little green dragon in a pool, and then down below there's a little red dragon with leafy ears. So you may start off small and grow and get bigger. You play with your horde, you mend your domain, working together. It just seems like a really beautiful, fun project or a story to tell with somebody else and have, you know, I would love to play this with my youngest. I think she would really enjoy this. She'd get really attached to her dragon and really think about and imagine the kinds of things that she does to restore the place that she's chosen to make her own. So I really like this project, Jonathan. Check this out on Kickstarter, get notified, and then if this is the right project for you, back it when it goes live. This project's a little bit different. Warped FM. Interview interdimensional creatures in this wacky tabletop role-playing game. This is by Goose Poop Games. This is their first Kickstarter project, but they've backed 11 of them. It says no GM, rules-lite, 2 to 5 players, 1d20 per player, one shot, and campaign. What I liked about this is I love listening to podcasts, and this is kind of geared towards that. My kids also love listening to podcasts, so maybe they'd get a kick out of this. But this one's a little more selfishly something that I'd be interested in trying out with somebody. And so there's not a lot on this, but I just liked the concept. I liked the idea of doing something a little different, or like merging the modern world with a fantasy or a sci-fi kind of world. There is an installation art thing called Meow Wolf that I visited late last year, which is sort of this idea that we're in this modern place, but we've the technology was created to jump to different dimensions and what kind of crazy thing that happened. And so you're in this physical space where the real world warps into this interdimensional space, which is kind of crazy. This kind of reminds me of that. Can't wait to learn more on launch from Goose Poop Games. Check it out if it's something that interests you. Get notified when it launches, and maybe it's something you want to back. Now, this project is a little bit different. It's not a zine. And I kind of debated whether or not I should talk about this or not, but I would love to create some kids' books in the future. Curious to me. And this is called Collaborative Storybooks Fantasy Adventures, a new kind of children's book where you create the story together using the settings from the book. Tell your stories together. This is by Collaborative Storybooks. What we learn about this is that the interiors of this book are created by an illustrator by the name of Madeline Blakely, or Madeline Illustrated. We only get one sample of this illustration, and it's of this library. There's light coming in from this stained glass window shining in on a desk, and there's things on the desk. There's rows of books. There's things on the shelves. There's kind of this central place with a stairway, and there's creatures in here. And what it seems like this is asking you to do is use these visuals as story prompts. So in the same way that we got that good spirit, bad spirit, where it gives you some ideas on stories you could tell, maybe gives you some, lays out some pantheons that you could use, and then you pick and choose what you want to use from them. This lays out pictures, well-drawn illustrations, and as you're looking at them, you could say, okay, here's a place that I'm going, or that our adventurers are in, and I see that there is an orb on the shelf. I'm going to go and pick that up and take a look at that. Well, what's the story we could tell from there? What happens from there? And so it's a super interesting concept to me about creating content and artwork that evokes the imagination and allows people to make of it what they want, which does put a little bit of the cognitive load and creative load on others, which is different than if you created something that people just consume and enjoy. But that I'm creating something that kind of asks people to take some of that load if they want to. This is a really interesting concept to me. So if you're open to backing something that's not a zine during ZineQuest, check out Fantasy Adventures, Tell Your Stories Together by Collaborative Storybooks. Get notified on their launch, and back it if you feel like this is something that you'd like to support. I think that's it for this episode. I hope to create at least 1 or 2 more episodes reviewing more projects because there are so many that I'd like to boost the signal for. If you want to follow me on other platforms, you can find the links in the description below. Please go check out my Kickstarter, Let's Go to Rumino, launching on February 1st. Be notified when it launches so you can follow along, see what happens, and enjoy the culmination of this particular journey for me, and see then what's coming next after that. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next room.